In today's video, I am going to explain deep lower leg muscle anatomy. I want to focus on three muscles today. This is flexor hallucis longus. Flexor hallucis longus. This one is flexor digitorum longus. Flexor digitorum longus. Last one, it's a little bit hard to see. This is it. This is tibialis posterior. I am going to explain their origin, insertion, and function. First thing first, these muscles run on posterior part of ankle joint and medial part, okay? Back side and medial side. Please memorize this. I will talk about this anatomical location later. Let me explain their origin first. Okay, this is posterior view. This is flexor hallucis longus. Let's say hallucis. This is digitorum longus. And this is tibialis posterior. Let me start from flexor hallucis longus. Origin is like a distal 2/3 of fibula. Distal 2/3 of fibula. So it is like about this part. It's about 2/3, right? Approximately distal 2/3. This is origin of flexor hallucis longus. One more place. There's membrane between tibia and fibula. This membrane is called interosseous membrane. Interosseous membrane. I will talk about this membrane later. This is origin of flexor hallucis longus. Let's go to flexor digitorum longus. It's simple. It's simply backside upper part of tibia. Backside and posterior part. That's it. It's tibia, upper part. Next one, tibialis posterior. This muscle also attaches to interosseous membrane. Plus, this muscle attaches both tibia and fibula. Tibia and fibula. Interosseous membrane and tibia fibula. Okay, what is interosseous membrane? Two muscles attached to this membrane. That membrane connects tibia and fibula. This tension of membrane is very important for ankle joint movement. I will talk about as simple as possible. When this membrane gets tight, simply ankle joint movement is restricted. When you want to move ankle joint, tibia and fibula needs to open up very slightly. They need to open up. Then if membrane is tight, you cannot open tibia and fibula. What's going to happen? Ankle joint movement is diminished. That is why tension of interosseous membrane is important. Then two muscles attached to this membrane. What happens if these muscles get tight? Interosseous membrane gets tight. Ankle joint movement gets tight. Very important connective tissue. Well, this is origin of these muscles. Let's go to insertion. Let's get started from flexor hallucis longus. What is hallucis? What does hallucis mean? That means big toe. Yep, this muscle attaches to big toe. That attaches to distal phalanx of first toe. Distal phalanx. Phalanx means toe, okay? That attaches to like an end point of big toe. This is it. This is insertion. How about flexor digitorum longus? Digitorum means fingers or toes. This muscle attaches to other four toes. Same thing. Distal phalanges of second through fifth toe. Distal phalanges of second through fifth toe. This second to fifth toe, which is, distal phalanges. This is for flexor digitorum longus. What about tibialis posterior? This muscle has so many insertions. Okay, there are three bones on middle part of foot. There are three cuneiforms. Tibialis posterior attaches to all cuneiforms. So three cuneiforms. Three cuneiforms plus navicular. Navicular bone plus second through fourth metatarsal. Three cuneiforms, navicular, second and fourth metatarsal. Sorry, it's messy. It's a little bit messy. This is the insertion of three muscles. So let me talk about their functions. Let me talk about flexor hallucis longus and digitorum longus function first. As name of these muscles indicate, they flex toes. So flexion of toes. Flexion of toes. Flexor hallucis longus flexes big toe. Flexor digitorum longus flexes other four toes. Simple, right? Since these muscles cross ankle joint, they move ankle joint as well as big toes and other four toes. As I said, these muscles pass posterior part of ankle joint and medial part. What can I say? What kind of functions these muscles do? One function is plantar flexion. Plantar flexion because they run on posterior part. Again, they run on medial part as well. What kind of function? That is inversion. Plantar flexion and inversion. Flexor hallucis longus and digitorum longus both do plantar flexion and inversion. Very important function, right? How about tibialis posterior? Tibialis posterior also runs at posterior and medial part. Then what's gonna happen? That does plantar flexion and inversion as well. So all three muscles do plantar flexion and inversion. Of course, flexor digitorum longus, hallucis longus do toe flexion. For ankle movement, all three muscles do plantar flexion and inversion because they run on posterior part and medial part. Let me show you, a better view. This is right side foot and you are looking foot from superior view. This is like where these three muscles run. Let me put axis of movement. This horizontal axis is like an axis for plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. Muscles which run backside from this axis is for plantar flexion. Muscles that run from front part of this axis is for dorsiflexion. Okay, then all three muscles pass at this area. This is for plantar flexion, right? Then there's one more axis for movement that is for inversion and eversion. Inversion, eversion axis is a little bit complicated. It's a little bit diagonal like this. Muscles that runs this part does inversion. This pink area, inversion. Then other part, this side is for eversion. Again, all three muscles, for today's muscles, they run at this quadrant. What kind of movements do they do? That is for inversion and plantar flexion. This quadrant is very important to understand ankle muscles. Let's say fibularis longus runs at this quadrant. They do plantar flexion and eversion. See, I believe this diagram, this quadrant diagram is very important for ankle movement. Anyhow, in today's video, I explained three lower leg muscles: flexor hallucis longus, flexor digitorum longus, and tibialis posterior. They are so important for toe movements and ankle joint movements. If you liked today's video, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. See you next video.